Pass him. I don't know.
Hello, I'm Caydor.
I'm Integer.
And this is Caydor's
Spell
something quick guide for Dark Souls.
Part something.
Yeah. We've lost count at this point. It might help if I'd actually numbered them properly. But the numbers I used were for the recording session. So we're on like part 9 and this says part 6 with like A through Z. I actually think it goes up to like D, but it would have been easier if I did part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4. But because I was recording in like 3-hour gaps, I wasn't sure how much I was going to have to break it up.
Yeah. So this is saved as part 6, and then there's a 6A, then a 6B. This isn't 6A, no. There's more.
But we are in the depths, and I showed you that between the last one, I managed to grind up 3 of those things using my own method of if it doesn't drop within 10, I continue on. So I managed to get 3. And yeah, it generally helps to have the right thing equipped when you try to go cast a spell. Otherwise you're just firing blanks.
And nobody likes firing blanks.
I don't know, I'm sure some people would appreciate it. But not when you actually need to fire something with substance.
And you mean substance?
Substance. It's all a matter of perspective.
It's a matter of extra letters. You're about a half a word away from firing something that amounts to food.
Well, some people might see it as food.
Eat lead, suckers. Alright,
it's better than firing pestilence.
If you're a human here, unlike Caydor, there'll be a red dark spirit.
Human, never.
Yeah, he's not human. Don't let him fool you. Anyways, there'll be a red dark spirit. He'll invade your game. If you kill him fast, you can kill him. He's pretty easy. If you try, kill him fast. The faster you kill him, the more stuff you get. It's cool like that.
The elf ears always give me away.
I'm not sure what to say to that. It took me a minute.
It's alright. Thinking's not your strong suit. That's why you're the warrior most of the time.
Yeah.
Well, at least thinking about some things, I'm pretty sure you could destroy half of the opponents you've seen in movies that you're like, why are they fighting like that? They're leaving that big gap there.
Have you watched the Percy Jackson movie?
Yeah.
Do you know how many gaps he left?
Yeah. Probably not as many as you saw, but...
enough for you to kill him.
Yeah.
Anybody who's read, you know.
Though, considering that I don't exactly fight clean. Basically, I'll say, I don't want to fight you. Please leave me alone. If they don't proceed to do so, I'll assume they're going to fight dirty, and I'll start fighting dirty too. So, considering the fact that he doesn't wear anything to cover his crotch...
So, handful of sand in the eye, kick to the crotch.
Yep. And then, I don't know, tie his shoelaces to his hands or something.
Well, don't... just remember, if you gotta throw sand in somebody's eye, if they've got a weapon in one hand, they'll almost always swing it blindly. So either go for the weapon hand just after that, or duck out of the way.
Well, you only use sand or dirt if you're in a pinch. If you're planning ahead, what you do is you get some glass bottles, break them in a sack, and you throw that in the eye, because the first instinct is to like try to wipe it, and they're just going to wreck their own corneas.
But if he's holding a weapon, he'll try to wipe it with the offhand while swinging wildly with the...
Yeah. So what you actually do is you stand in front of his friend, you throw it in his eye, and he steps to the side and hope he, like, murders his own ally. Especially if you do it to both of them and they swing wildly at each other.
I want to watch this now. Welcome to Caydor and Integer's game show, where we think of new and interesting ways to torture people.
We'll call it Darwin Says.
Darwin says, jump on one foot.
Darwin says, here, take this potion of immunity to fire and go test it for us.
I don't remember that one. I remember Bourget's fire cloak scroll. Especially effective against undead. Whenever an undead got too near your fire cloak, you would explode.
Yeah.
I hated that. It was so much fun.
Especially if you had a ton of health potions.
Yeah. I'd wield I'd put on the fire cloak, and I'd have it, like, in one hand, because that was a one-handed spell. And I'd have Dawnbreaker in the other. And I'd put it on when I was going into, like a undead boss room. And I'd just wail away on them, watching the various weapons and stuff explode. Needless to say, I was, like, dead by the end of it, but it was cool.
Well, I tended to fight slightly more cautiously. So I'd have, like, the fire cloak in one hand and, like, a fire elemental in the other. And I'd throw up the fire elemental and then switch to, like, lightning or something. And it was, in case they actually got to me, they'd generally be, like, worn down enough that the first explosion would kill them, but... Or you put Dawn Cloak in one hand and the healing spell in the other.
Alright. Out. For anybody who's currently watching instead of paying attention to what we're saying, the fog is deadly.
First, I have to commend your ability to tune us out. That's gotta be impressive. But anyways, these are called basilisks, even though they look like frogs on steroids and out of the mind of someone who hates gamers, because these things give the worst affliction I have ever seen. If you get hit by it, or not hit by it. If that little bar fills up that you'll see once or twice, you might have seen it already.
They have.
If that fills all the way up, you turn to stone, die instantly. You resurrect. Your health bar is at half, and it caps out at that until you relieve it with either a purge stone, which I showed you how to get two of earlier, and that guy at the top of the church you could buy it from.
And the lady that sells moss at the top of the stairs.
Yeah, I don't find her till later.
You already passed her.
I didn't realize that was her. Or, unless I showed her in the video, I don't remember, but...
You didn't show her in the video, you walked past her.
Yeah, because usually I stop at the vendor, so I might not have realized she sold them. Or I checked it out when I wasn't recording and forgot to turn it on and check again later, because to try to save down on editing time, when I get done with a section, I'd stop and then start a new recording, so that it'd be split up somewhat already, so I wouldn't have to go through like 6 hours of footage and cut it down into...
A, B, C, D.
Yeah.
Oh, parts of the things he forgot to mention, for those of you who like humanities. While you're cursed, you cannot use any of them.
And you can't turn human, though that's not exactly a punishment if you've lost every single PvP battle you've been in while human.
That is funny in the saddest way possible.
Well, I beat all the NPCs I encountered, but anytime it was a person with actual intelligence,
Yeah.
I got pretty well owned, because this build is a glass cannon. So if they're not stupid enough to be running into a wall while I, like, zap them, or I zap them and they actually survive, they pretty well kill me in one hit. That, and I think lag has something to do with it, because sometimes on my screen, I'll have turned, ran off, and then all of a sudden I've teleported back to them for the backstab.
Yeah. I think lag has something majorly to do with it. I can be either in my game or somebody else's game, and there'll be a dark spirit invade, and I'll be well away from him, like 10 feet. He'll be moving toward me, of course, but I'll be moving steadily away. And I'll be firing off spells or my bow or whatever at him, doesn't matter. And then, next thing I know, like, suddenly, like, jump, he's behind me, I'm against a wall that I was nowhere near, I'm getting stabbed in the back, and the guy who I was just helping fight the dark spirit, is suddenly gone.
I haven't had that, but I generally didn't allow myself to be summoned to help other people, because I try to avoid turning human as often as possible, especially on this build. Cause,
you don't have to be human to be summoned.
Right, it's just... I didn't feel like it. It seemed intrusive. And since I was recording, I was generally on a tight schedule. I'd have, like, only a few hours I could record before someone needed the living room again.
Well, anyways, I forgot what I was about to say.
I don't know. You saw a little bit more of it than me. How'd you enjoy the Civil War?
That's what you call that? Why do they call it civil? Seemed anything but.
That joke is old. Older than time itself.
No, I'm actually asking. Why do they call it civil?
Well, they call anything a civil war when it's within two factions in the same kind of country or area. Like, I think North and South Korea is considered a civil war, even though they're split or whatever. It's weird. That's why you generally have to call it the American Civil War.
So the Bolshevik Revolution was a civil war?
Probably. Most revolutions are a civil war because it's within the civilization instead of across civilizations. Does that make sense?
The American Revolution wasn't a civil war.
No, because the British were foreign.
So were the Americans.
Yeah, but many of the British weren't actually living here, I think it was.
Yeah.
And you could probably call it a civil war anyway. Yeah, this guy is one ugly motherfucker.
When I first saw the head, I thought we were going to have to fight a giant centipede. This did not bode well.
Yeah. And had I not told Fear to fuck off, I probably would have greatly disliked this thing, because I used to have a fear of getting bitten, and look at all those teeth.
Oh. Wouldn't it be funny if you could rip them out slowly?
Maybe. Or just make a whip out of them.
Teeth are solid.
Well, I meant like attaching them to this guy's spine.
Ah.
And if you've seen me fight some of the other bosses, this is pretty well a straightforward fight. The only addition is that this guy's got a little bit more tail than your average boss.
Also, he can jump up and down on you. He'll also charge you. And if you're unlucky, after he gets about half health, he can spew acid across the floor.
He calls it acid, but it looks more like he's puking up his intestines. Or the last guy that he ate.
Yes, it does. But I've paid attention to it, and does greatly diminish your durability on armor and weapons.
Yeah, it may be stomach acid, because I haven't really seen too much that's actual acid in this game, or an acid equivalent.
It really does look like it hurts.
It does. Well, yeah, try to stay away from this thing. The charge is fairly easy to avoid, but he seems to have really good tracking on that whole fly up and smash you thing, despite the fact that as large as he is and the way his eyes are set, you're pretty sure he shouldn't be able to see you when he's looking forward.
He has eyes.
Yeah, on that little lizard thing.
Never noticed that. Look how many souls.
Quite a bit of souls. And one of the last few things we actually came down here for. Because you can skip the green, you can pretty well skip all of this, but you need one of the pieces of the armor to get the kind of minimum armor you could wear.
Well, that was part 2, apparently.
No, that was part 1. I think it was supposed to be like continued in part 2 or something like that.
Oh.
Because before I had it full and I had said part 1, part 2, and I ended up deciding to just make part 2 a new thing instead of...
Alright.
And so that'll be cut out along with most of this dialogue, so we should just go ahead and do the outro.
Go for it.
Hello, I was Caydor.
I still am integer. Which number is this? This is number of the spell something or another guide.
We'll see. Actually, this is part N plus 3.
Okay.
N being 3 less than whatever the actual number is.
Obviously.
Remember, error is the answer, unless it comes to math.
In which case, the answer is always...
42.
That's the answer to life. Not the answer to math.
Oh, the answer to math is 3.14159.
Yes. And X.
Or N.
They don't like in very much. I like in.
I is interesting. But only in a good math joke.
And remember, whenever you get into graphing, if you're not already, whenever they have the X and the Y axis, just to be a smartass, put a line going across your paper and label it Z. Have a good day.
Actually, you'd have to tilt it on its side.
Not if you draw it right.
Well, because when you have a Z, Z is actually one of the up and downs.
Well, yeah, but if you have X here and Y here, if you draw Z kind of like this, not like straight up, but
at an angle. But
yeah.
it still doesn't establish it quite right because the X and Y is supposed to be the flat, so they're going to be going like this, and then Z is the straight up and down.
Well, who's to say you're not looking at it sideways?
I don't know, physics?
I think this has been done for a little while now.
Clearly.